Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started in a few minutes. We're waiting for everyone to sign in and have a chance to get into the Zoom meeting. We'll start probably a minute or two after the hour. So thank you for coming, and we will be back in a few minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Professor. We have you on our program. Yes. Yes. So we'll ask you to share after we welcome everyone. We're very excited for your news. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to give it 2 more minutes so people can get into our Zoom for today. So thank you so much for joining. Just give it a couple of minutes so everyone has a chance to join. We have a hello, everyone. Nice seeing some of my friends from China here. Comment from Joan in the comments. Very nice. Thank you, Joan. Exciting. We're very pleased to have an international Zoom for this presentation. All right. 2 more minutes and we'll get started.
Hi, Sydney. So nice to meet you.
Hi, Sunhua.
And and I see Jian Pu, Pu Yanjun. 好久不见，太开心了啊！So nice to meet you.
I guess they're getting ready to start.
All right. I think everyone is here who has registered. We might have a couple more people join us. But otherwise, we're going to start our program for the day. So welcome. Thank you for coming to this exciting new program we have, introducing the digital archives of Edgar Snow. We are introducing them from the University of Missouri, Kansas City. My name is Megan Oliver, and I am the head of digital projects, letting in a couple more folks here as we go. I will be your host and moderator for this evening. So if you are on the program, you will be introduced. And if you are not, please put your questions into the chat box. And at the end of our program, I will be happy to address those. If there are any questions we don't have time for, we will follow up with you and send you an email as you registered for this event. So I will say good evening to those of you in the United States, and I will say good morning or Zhao Shan Ha, Ni Hao Ma. Good morning, how are you to our Chinese colleagues? Forgive, my Chinese is just beginning. So thank you so much for joining us. We do have a presentation from Professor Sun Hua, who is the director of the China Center for Edgar Snow Studies, up first. And after that, we will share the Edgar Snow Reading Room, and our University Archives department would like to share some pieces with you. And then our Digital Projects Snow Fellow, An Vo, will share the Digital Archives project. And then finally, we will take questions at the end. So without further ado, I will say welcome. And Professor Sun Hua, please share your work with us.
Okay. Thank you, Megan. Thank you for arranging the meeting. And my colleague Wang Xue joined the meeting with me. And he will introduce some cooperate between Northwest University and Brigham Young database project later. First, I will give you a very brief introduction of China Center for Edgar Snow Studies. Next slide, please. China Center for Edgar Snow Studies was founded in 1993 with the purpose of introducing and studying the works of Edgar Snow and other international friends. The center is dedicated to promoting friendship and cooperation between China and other countries. Next, please. In early 1934, Edgar Snow worked as a lecturer of journalist department at Yanqing University. Now this campus is the campus of Peking University. And in 1973, a part of ashes of Edgar Snow buried in this campus near the Weiming Lake. So as Edgar Snow said, he loved this campus because this campus have the most smart young people of China, as he worked 100 years ago. Next, please. And the center hosted several international symposiums, such as the 100th anniversary commemoration conference of Edgar Snow's birth in 2005. Many American friends, especially from Edgar Snow Memory Foundation, visited Peking University from then many times. Next, please. And the China Center for Edgar Snow Studies have good relations with the UMKC and Edgar Snow Memory Foundation. I visited Dr. Diamond with Shu Zhang, and your president visited School of Journalism and Communication at Peking University. Next, please. And I have a course in Peking University on Edgar Snow studies, rereading of Rest over China for several years. Next, please. And last year, we hosted two very important international conferences. The first one, Nancy, Sydney, and Sam joined us in person. And He Liliang, 100-year-old lady, the former president of the Chinese Society for People's Friendship Studies, joined us via video, and she is very healthy, and I hope maybe this year she can join us in person this July. Next, please. And last year on August 30, we have an international conference for commemorate 8th anniversary of the victory of Chinese people's war resistance against Japanese aggression and the world anti-fascist war. Eric, the niece of Helen Foster, and also other families of international friends such as Ma Haide, George Haddam, and Ruby Alley, and Labe, and almost 10 international friends join us. Next, please. And during the two conference, we initiated 3 major projects: Edgar Snow International Scholars, International Friends Studies Database, and also Alliance for International Friends Studies. Next, please. And we prepared exhibition, and next, please, and documentary, next, please, and book series for this year international. Next, this is some American friends visited our center, such as Sam, the 4th generation of Edgar Snow's brother, is working at Harvard University now. Next, please. And we cooperated with the press company. Next, please. And Xinhua Agency, Nancy and Sydney visited, and also library such as Cambridge Library collected the book series of our center. And this year, next, please, we will publish 3 books, Edgar Snow works, 1 exhibition in Shanghai, Shanghai History Museum, one documentary by the Shanghai TV station, and one database for Edgar Snow, and one themed event retrieves Edgar Snow's route from Xi'an to Yan'an. Sydney and Nancy will join us. Next, please. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you in person. Thank you.
That is so much. We have to have you back. Thank you for sharing. What a large program. Yeah. Wonderful annual symposium. I wish we had more time, but thank you so much for sharing, Professor.
And I'm sorry, Megan. Gao Mingna have a course this morning, so Wang Xue will have a very short, very brief introduction of Northwest University and Brigham Young University cooperated for the database on Helen Snow. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, good evening and good morning, everyone. I will represent Professor Gao Mingna to introduce the collaboration between the Edgar and the Helen Snow Studies Center in Shaanxi Province and the Brigham Young University on the digitalization of the Helen Foster Snow collection. So the Edgar and Helen Snow Studies Center, SSC, in Shaanxi Province has partnered with the Paris Special Collections at the Harold Lee Library of Brigham Young University for decades. The two parties have been working together since the Helen Foster Snow collections was placed at the Harold Lee Library. Around 10 years ago, the Harold Lee Library received a grant to digitize the Helen Foster Snow collection. They began by scanning over 10,000 photos from Helen's collection. To ensure the quality and efficiency of the digitization process, BYU even invented a special device. BYU completed the digitization of all the photos in the collection in 2024. So the next step is to translate the English captions of the photos into Chinese to make them accessible to viewers in China. BYU and SSC have agreed to find a Chinese university library to host the photos alongside them. So far, they have approached Northwest University in Shaanxi. However, they are also open to collaborating with libraries of other prominent Chinese universities, such as Peking University. So, if you have any questions or you are interested in this collaboration project, you can contact Professor Mingna Gao, and I will send her email into this chat bot. So, thank you.
Thank you, Wang Shui, and thank you, Professor Su Hua. Wonderful updates. I would very much like to see you and your colleagues again for a meeting so that we could consider more collaborations with Brigham Young as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan.
All right. Let's move into the portion of our program where our university archivist, Becky Becker, and our assistant archivist, Coriel DG, share the Edgar Snow reading room with you. So, Becky and Coriel.
Hi, everyone. Good evening and good morning. I'm Becky Becker. I'm the University Archivist and head of UMKC University Archives. I'm also the curator of the Edgar Snow Collections, which is a record group in the University Archives. Coriel is serving as my camera person today. You'll see her in a bit. So this is the Edgar Snow Reading Room. It opened in 2015, 1 year after the Edgar Snow Collections and the University Archives moved under the University Libraries here at UMKC. It does include the Edgar Snow book collection, which had been the Edgar Snow Memorial Foundation. I don't know if you can see here we go. a little bit of the book plate that it had been the Edgar Snow Memorial Fund collection that had been housed in the former library building, which is now Newcomb Hall on UMKC campus. So why Edgar Snow, and why is it in a university archives? A university archives is where the administrative records of a university and the historical papers of it are preserved. Well, surprisingly, the Edgar Snow collections are intertwined in UMKC's history from the 1970s onward. In 1971, the first provost of the School of Medicine, Dr. E. Gray Diamond, joined the UMKC campus in 1971. The following year, his friend Edgar Snow passed away. In 1973, Gray's wife, Mary Clark Diamond, thought, why don't we start a memorial fund for our friend Edgar on UMKC's campus? And by 1974, she established the Memorial Fund, which is now the foundation. It is also the home to the library, which is now our book collection. And it also had a small museum. And I will show you some examples of what had been there shortly. And an archive of correspondence, manuscripts that came from Edgar's family, friends, colleagues, supporters. By 1996, the chancellor of the university, along with Dr. Diamond and the provost of the university, came together to ask Edgar's widow, Lois Wheeler Snow, to donate Edgar's research, manuscripts, correspondence, diaries and journals, photographs. And that agreement to donate the collection was finalized in 1986, that fall. And in a loan to gift agreement by 1992, the Edgar Snow core collection, which our digital projects fellow on will touch on later, came to be here at UMKC. Legacy of Edgar Snow by preserving his collections, housing his artifacts and books that he wrote, like Red Star Over China, and supplementary collections that illustrate his hard work to bring together the US and China in terms of international relations, cultural and scholarly exchanges. And the Edgar Snow Memorial Foundation continues that legacy today with similar programming, including in the 70s and 80s, they had a visiting scholars program, and that continued into the 2010s. There are alternating symposia every other year, one in Beijing and one in Kansas City, alternating every other year. So that is why Edgar Snow is part of University Archives, and why we have the reading room here in the Special Collections and Archives reading room at Miller Nichols Library on UMKC's campus. So Coriel, let's take a look at some of the collection material that, because we're doing this virtually, we're simulating a show and tell on site here. We have some examples of books, photographs, artifacts from supporting collections in the Edgar Snow collection umbrella, like this first edition, first printing of Red Star Over China. This is the Random House American version from 1938. We do have the British London published Red Star Over China from 1937. And the Random House version came in hardcover and paperback. The end sheets here show a map of Edgar's journey to the Yan'an province to talk with the Chinese Communist Party leadership that formed the basis of his book. Here's an example of one of the photographs. I don't know if this is mirrored, but my hand is here. Closest to my hand is Edgar. Next to him is Huang Hua. And they are interviewing with Edgar asking the questions and Huang Hua interpreting. Two gentlemen there. We also have and I'll introduce Coriel on the corner here. Coriel, could I have you show off one of the other photos that we have? So we have a group photo here of some of the soldiers that he met during his travels. And these photos were originally on display in the Edgar Snow Memorial Fund Collection Museum Archive. And this is a early photo of Edgar on a ship smoking a pipe. We have examples of artifacts back here, replicas of the hat he wore on his journey in 1936, 1937. We have a suitcase here, original leather with some damage. It no longer opens, but you can tell it was his. His name stenciled here. On the side is a shipping label for Mrs. Edgar Snow. And then we have an example here of correspondence between Edgar and his father. That is from his sister Mildred Snow Mackey's collection of correspondence and other treasures. So these are examples of what we have in the Edgar Snow collections that supplement the Edgar Snow papers. If you have any questions for us, we do have a departmental email for reference questions at umkcarchives@umkc.edu. And that is our presentation. Thank you for joining us, and I will hand it back over to Megan.
All right. Thank you, Becky and Coriel, for positioning that lovely camera so we could see the reading room as well as some of the objects in the collection. As we look at our digital archives work, I want to introduce our Snow Fellow, An Vo. An has been working with us for the last 9 months, and she will finish her work next month. And she has some slides to walk you through her findings, some of the history in those papers that Becky was referring to. So, An, feel free to share your slides and take it away.
All right, thank you, Megan. Let me try to share my screen real quick. Okay. I hope it's working.
It is.
All right. All right, so hello everyone. My name is An Vo, and I'm the Digital Project Snow Fellow. It's my great pleasure to be here and present my work for you today. And before I start, I just want to express my gratitude to the Missouri Humanities Council for funding the initiatives of this project, and to Megan, Becky, and Coriel, who have been very supportive of me and my digitization work. A little bit about myself. I used to work as a graduate assistant at Library Special Collections, and I also came to know about Edgar Snow during that time. So I'm really happy now to be able to work directly with the collection and make it more accessible to library patrons through digitization. So A little bit about the work that we are doing. Currently, we are focusing on digitizing Snow diaries, correspondence, and photographs from the Edgar Snow papers, as these are the items that are frequently requested from the collection. Since we are lucky to get the seed funding from Missouri Humanities Council, we wanted to prioritize digitizing items of higher interest so we can better serve the needs of our patrons in the US and also to cater to the needs of many scholars from China who have been flying thousands of miles to Kansas City to have access to the Edgar Snow collection. And personally, I believe the success of this project will help relieve the difficulties of traveling long distance and give researchers immediate access to the material that we have here in the University of Missouri, Kansas City University Archives. And moving on to the details of my work as a fellow, my digitization responsibilities usually include scanning, photographing, developing metadata for parts of the Edgar Snow papers. And here you can see the 2 pages in one of Snow diaries from his trip to Russia in 1942. And frankly, they are in quite poor condition, right? There are ink stains covering all of the pages in this diary, and some pages are also very fragile upon touch. So I have to be really, really careful not to like mess it all up while taking this picture. So this diary is also one of the very few physical diaries from the Snow collection that we have here in our archives, as the majorities of the diaries are transcripts and the originals are still held by the Snow family. So it is important that we digitize them to limit the need to physically handle these kind of valuable materials that we need careful preservation for, all the while remaining their accessibility online. And since this is an event about Snow, the star of the show, right, we can't forget to mention briefly about his background. So Edgar Snow was a Kansas City-born journalist who spent a significant part of his career reporting news from China and Japanese-occupied area in Asia before and during World War II. In between his time in China, he also delivered news from countries like India, Russia, as a credible war correspondent from Asia for many large newspapers in the US. Snow gained international attention as the first American journalist to enter the Red Territory to report on the conditions of the Chinese Communist Party, Red Army, and interview their leaders, providing objective information and insight of China, which have been very limited at that time to the American public. So his work is very important. And talking about Snow, we can't forget to talk about the Edgar Snow collection, right? So the Edgar Snow collection that we have here in University Archives is one of the biggest collection that we have on site. And it is actually the name, the Edgar Snow collection is an umbrella name for the Edgar Snow papers in the yellow box that you can see here on the chart, which is a core collection and other related collections from Snow siblings, Mary Clark Diamond, like Becky have already mentioned, Agnes Medley, the Edgar Snow Memorial Foundation, and more. So for our current project, again, we only focus on digitizing materials from the Edgar Snow papers, which is the core collection, due to its popularity. And so far, I have scanned 4,149 items from this collection and described 3,091 of them. For transparency, I'm doing folder level descriptions, which means I only describe the general content of what is in a folder, a physical folder, instead of describing individual items one by one. And the reason for this, so when you can see that what I'm talking about when you go into a digital exhibition that I'm going to show you later, right? And the reason why we're doing folder level description for this collection, for this project, is because we only have, sadly, limited funding to keep this project going, but we still want to make a significant amount of the materials in the collection available to the public as soon as we can. So therefore, folder level description or batch description is the optimal choice for the moment. That being said, we still have roughly 30,000 items left in the Edgar Snow papers to digitize, and we would love to receive help and funding to keep digitizing and provide access to the full collection, while also working on developing detailed description, like identifying specific people and their names on photographs or on letters, for example, in the future. So that brings us to my next slide about what materials are we looking at in the Edgar Snow papers core collection. So in this collection, you can find Snow personal and business correspondence, diaries and notebooks, notes related to manuscripts and interviews, clippings of published articles and books in book reviews, photographs, audio tape, and film materials. And for this fellowship, I am digitizing his personal and business correspondence, diaries, and notebooks, photographs. And we still have been receiving new research requests for materials that I have not been able to digitize or materials outside these big three categories. We are very happy to see an increased interest in the Snow collection recently, but at the same time, quite disappointed that we are only able to accommodate to a small part of that interest. So therefore, we hope in the future, given the opportunity, to bridge that gap and to keep working to assist Snow researcher from all around the world. Well, I guess you're also curious to see some sneak peek into the materials that I have scanned after Becky's amazing presentation of the older materials. I have here the correspondence, a letter from Edgar Snow to Mr. McBride, right, the foreign editor of the Daily Herald newspaper in London, discussing his plan to visit the Red Territory in 1936, with the possibility of interviewing Mao Zedong, Chu Te, Zhou Enlai, and some other famous leader of the Chinese Communist Party. And in this letter, Snow expressed his curiosity and excitement for his upcoming trip, saying that no foreign newspaperman has penetrated a red-controlled region, and there was no first-hand accounts of condition in the Soviet area. So everything was very obscure in the West about China. So it's a remarkable fact that Snow has been able to go into the Red Territory and write a book after that about China and give that information to the wider audience. So while working with the materials in the Edgar Snow paper, I'm really drawn to see how Snow portrayed a realistic view of China, the Chinese people, and their revolutions against imperialism, especially from a period of 1928 to 1937. And the reason why I'm putting this range here is because this is the range from when he just started to go to China, starting to go to China in 1928 in his early career, and then 1 year after he went to the Red Territory in 1936, right? So I want to mention this theme in today's presentation because I feel like these are important parts of history that are told through Edgar Snow letters, diaries, and photographs that he took during his career. But however, unfortunately, because of the political tension back in the days, right, Snow did face many backlashes after he returns to the U.S. from China. But then he doesn't stop there, right? He stood up to his philosophy. And despite that pushback, Snow wrote a letter to Nelson Johnson, an American ambassador in Nanking, China, and he stated his philosophy as a journalist. And this is what he said: I do believe in my right as an American journalist to tell the truth as I have found it, just as a Chinese journalist is entitled to do so in America, just to supply some much needed materials of history. So this letter is written in 1937 after his trip to the Red Territory. Although he faced many backlashes, the fact that he just wants to tell the truth is an amazing thing to see in the collection. And that brings us to some featured photo that I have picked out from the collection that kind of like show what the works that he has done from 1928 to 1937, show his experience, what he see as an American journalist in China. And these photos portrays the Chinese people and their cultural movements that have made their marks in world history, right? Before having a chance to enter the new headquarters of the Red Army in Shaanxi, in 1936, Snow mainly reported news on the livelihood of the Chinese people, the culture, but also wrote about social issues in China that had been prevalent during that time. Here we can see a picture of a beautiful picture of a Chinese peasant, right? That shows a snippet into the farming practice of China, or can see people riding boats on the Yangtze River, or other than that, the pictures recorded stories about the opium crisis and child slavery that were kind of like a plaguing issue of the country at the time. And after that period, moving on to 1936, when he got a chance to go to the Red Territory in Shaanxi, Snow captures the pictures of the Red Army showing the Red soldier spirits, their ways of trading and production, and other aspects of life within the Red area. And after his visit, he wrote, yes, you have known, Red Star over China, which later became his most famous book, telling stories about the months that he was there. And I found this quote, very interesting quote, that after reading this book, that shows his surprise about the conditions of the people in the Red Army, and wanted to share it with you. So in the book, he wrote, though tragedy had touched the lives of nearly all of them, they were perhaps too young for it to have depressed them. They seemed to me fairly happy, and perhaps the first consciously happy group of Chinese proletarian I have seen. So that quote kind of shows the spirits of Snow as a journalist, and also his philosophy, working philosophy. And after 9 months of working, I'm very happy. Me, Megan, University Archives and Digital Projects are very happy to announce that we are preparing to upload our scanned materials to the Edgar Snow digital exhibition. So we are aiming to have the materials fully uploaded on our digital exhibition website by the end of May or early June. And if you click on the link, and I can probably share you what it looks like right now. I hope the screen is showing. This is our Snow archives, right? So this is the front page of our Snow archives. There's also a link to help us reach our funding goals. And if you click on the browse button, you can see the materials that we have already uploaded on the website for review, right? So you can click on it, read through the materials, read through the descriptions, and we're very happy to keep uploading, keep updating this website to provide more access to the patrons that are using the Edgar Snow collection. Going back to the PowerPoint, I hope this is working. Okay, so besides our digitization work, and now because it's coming to an end, we also have been posting social media posts introducing. Oh wait, I think I have not. Okay, so besides our digitization work, we have also been posting social media posts introducing Edgar Snow and his collections, as well as showing you what we do behind the scenes to make this project happen. So you can check out these posts on the UMKC Libraries Instagram webpage and follow us to see more updates about the Snow archive. So far, we have posted a reel about the Snow reading room, about the robot, about our digitization process in general, and also we have posts like a post specifically dedicated to introduce Edgar Snow to the wider public and talk a little bit about his legacy. So make sure that you check us out on our Instagram page, and thank you very much. I'm just gonna bring this back to you, Megan, and let us take to the question.
Great. Thank you so much, An. Okay. So, I still have Coriel as a spotlight here, but the team is available to answer your questions. So we would prefer it if you put questions into the chat, but if you would like, we can also have you raise your hands if you have questions, concerns, collaborations you would like to share with us. So let us open the floor. What can we address?
I have a question. Hi, Megan. Hi, Anne, Coriel, and Becky. I just wanted to say this is an extraordinary amount of work, and both presentations were just beautiful, and thank you for all your work on getting this together. My question is if you're thinking about ways to translate the materials into Mandarin, or how that might work in this day and age. Thank you.
Yes, excellent question. Thank you so much, Dean Falikoff. We would love to have the great majority of what we are digitizing translated. So I will speak to that. We do have several opportunities to write grants throughout the year. We did write a grant that we're still waiting to hear back on with the National Archives. We submitted that in November, and it was a 2-year grant, and translations were built in to the description process. So we were asking for funding to get a full-time Snow Fellow, and we would hire someone who is bilingual and could provide those translations in Mandarin specifically. And our digital repository is able to recognize Mandarin characters. So we were also excited that we could have Mandarin show up in at least 2 different ways. So we'd be able to have the Chinese characters as well as any phonetic spelling. So yes, that is on the list. I would love to say that we will get that funding. Most national grants, there's like a 20% acceptance rate for, and I don't know if we will, but we would like to have that happen. It is based on paying someone who has those skills as well. So we're looking at a higher per hour pay. And that's part of why we're asking for donations in addition to the grant writing that we are doing. So that is the goal. Absolutely. Great question. I hope I answered it for you. Other questions?
So, Megan, I'm wondering if it would be possible through collaboration, but once the materials are online, to work with, and I'm not trying to volunteer them for work, but to work with some of our colleagues from China to perhaps help with things like the translation. I certainly don't mean necessarily the people here, but there might be students there or something like that that might be able to help with something like that.
That would be wonderful.
And then Linda's asking about Edgar Snow's daughter. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So Sydney, to your point, I'm very much open to those collaborations and would love to be able to do that. And there would be no issue on our end. Linda is asking, thank you so much for the introduction. I am wondering about the copyright for the archives. Have you asked Edgar Snow's daughter's permission? I remember she didn't allow such things. Yes. So would our archives team like to address the copyright? I could also address it. I just want to kind of share and yeah.
We've been working on the project for 2 years actually, and the kickoff of it in 2024 was having Edgar Snow's daughter, Xian, sign a digital agreement to have the Edgar Snow papers digitized for a digital collection. We've been working closely with her to ensure that that as we're digitizing, we're following her, well, mainly just assuring her that this will be a good thing, that she is given the blessing to have the textual documents without watermarks. Photographs will have watermarks, that we're fostering positive donor relations here with the collection work. And I've been serving as the intermediary between her and the digital projects team to ensure that everything's going smoothly with that. So we definitely have Xian's support with this digital collection. We're keeping her updated on progress. And that's the progress report that we have for that.
Thank you, Becky. We also plan on having a rights statement accompany all of the items so people will know how they're allowed to use those pieces. They will be for research and education. And as I know it, Xian's concerns were largely around commercial usage as well and issues with AI. So we do want to be cognizant that the content that we're able to publish digitally meets her expectations and also meets the expectations of the Snow research community? So it's a good question. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging all the work. All right, John has a question. How can we download and share this with others who could not attend? This meeting has been recorded, so everyone who has registered for this presentation, this meeting, will actually receive a copy of the recording. I'll be in touch, and you can share and post that. We also plan on putting it on that website that An was showing you with all of the other content where you can give to our Snow effort specifically, and you can review the digital items and browse. We will have a copy of this recording up there as well. So we will share it out. Yes. All right, questions. Wang Shui, will the Snow archives be open to the public? The digital archives will be open access. Yes, we will be publishing the content that An was showing you. She had scanned over 4,000 items and described over 3,000. That will be open to the public to use. It's for education and research, so anyone will be able to view them for those purposes.
I would also,
yes.
Sorry, Megan.
No, go ahead.
I would also add that if a researcher is wishing to reproduce these, say in a documentary or an exhibition, they would still need to contact Sean regarding copyright, possibly as us as well, to just putting in that caveat as well, that if it is going to be reproduced, earning money, there still will be things to do rather than it just being freely and available, open.
Right. Yeah. Any reproduction will have to go through Xi'an and our archives.
So if someone was reproducing it only for research purposes, for instance, a single photograph, and that they were commenting on in a paper they wanted to publish, I'm assuming that would not be. I'm asking, I should say, whether they would need permission ahead of time.
They don't need permission if it's publicly posted in this collection that we're building. We would love to be credited.
No, of course. Yeah.
But no.
In other words, it will be available for researchers not only to view, but they actually can, for research purposes, incorporate it as appropriate, like in there. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think this is a huge move, as Linda pointed out. And I know some of the others of you have also been able to visit the archives over the years, and I'm sure that you're impressed as I am by the.
Any other questions or concerns?
Dear Megan, thank you so much for organizing such a wonderful event. I truly enjoyed the presentations and learned a great deal. I was particularly impressed by the sorting and the digitization of such a huge and complex collection of files. One highlight for me was when you showed the Edgar Snow reading room. Thank you very much. The progress your team has made on the digitization project is remarkable. Please extend my thanks to your entire team. I'm planning to visit Chicago this October and would love to visit your library if the timing works for you. I hope to see you in Kansas City then. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Let us know. We'd love to host you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, that's wonderful.
I visited Edgar Snow reading room and UMKC 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
2016.
It's a little bit updated now, so you'll see some changes. Yeah.
So fast.
Thank you so much. Linda says, I'm wondering if we can cooperate with each other to translate Edgar Snow's works or letters and correspondence. Yes, we would love that. We absolutely are open to a collaboration to translate the content. That would be fantastic. Linda, if you want to be in touch with us, we have the email address in the chat, but you are welcome to put your email address in the chat as well so that we can reach out to you since you are a visiting Snow professor. So, and then our assistant dean for special collections and archives, Kelly Spring, is inviting Professor Sunhua to visit Kansas City in October. I believe we're about 6 hours away from Chicago by train, or is that car? It's not too far. Yes, yes. Linda's also saying yes. I've been to UMKC Library. That's wonderful. Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm going to write down your email. And we have time for a couple more questions if anyone has any.
I guess I would defer to Zhuang Li if he's still on there. I don't see his picture, but I believe that he had in mind volunteers who would be helpful in translating. And maybe, Zhuang, if you are still on, could you speak up?
Yes, and I remember the 2 months ago, 2 meetings ago, I offered the help for translate all the diaries and things with my graduate school friend who is in Shanghai, and whole family is really interested into the Edgar Snow everything. And then I said that time, I say, not only translate word by word, and also I have a very good friend, and his father-in-law still alive. He is in Huanghua's age that time. He is in China. He is a reporter, and he knows all the history. What I'm talking about is not only translate word by word. You have to translate the meaning by the history. And then he's in the late 90s, but he's have a very clear mind. And if you like, I think we better quick. He's too old. But when I talked to him, actually, I toured him through the diagonally from first floor to the last floor because he asked me to help him. He really want to know all these people, and then Huanghua, they are colleagues, and they know each other for years. But he's old. But I think even we have some event. Ask him, he can explain in person, and I think that might be some value. So if you are interested, I will be more than happy to introduce him, or I can invite him to the reading room and then answer anybody's question. So, and I think that should be a possibility. And also, I will invite my friend here for sometimes because he's with us, they're holding the garden. He's not just a regular guy. He's pretty important. And then I send you email, but he says he's in the meeting. He gives a speech. He cannot attend. That's why I asked Megan to give a link, and I will talk to him afterward. And I do like to him to interview this old guy and try to get some information and see what else we need in the near future. And but this person is still very healthy, clear. But the thing about the 90s, that you never know. And then and also my classmate is a very good photographer, and he always posted on the videos, everything. So Megan, sometime I need to talk to you about the things and what can we do for this program.
I would love that. I think we were going to talk on the phone, but email,
Yeah, I will
phone.
call you
Yeah.
sometime this week.
Okay, wonderful. And I will put you in touch if you would like an in-person visit. I think that's best. You should come in if you can. And I'll put you in touch with our new Assistant Dean, Kelly Spring, and make sure that the archives team is ready for you. They can pull out content for anyone who wants to visit. So I do think we should capture any history that we can as soon as we can.
You know, even somebody interested in the history of the Edgar Snow, what he did in the past, ask him, I think it will be valuable. I would strongly suggest if this thing happened and video it, and maybe in the future, quite interesting. That's what I'm thinking. Thank you, Megan. I will call you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shuang. Linda is asking if you could share his name, the gentleman in his 90s. So, Shuang Li, if you would like to share that, you can.
Classmate or this old guy?
Okay.
I can get what he did in the past, and then his name and which organization he worked in, and that shouldn't be any problem. I will send to you, Megan. I will talk to his son-in-law and I send to you. Okay.
Okay. All right. And then we'll all be in touch. And it looks like we are slowing down on questions, but Sydney also shared in the chat that she would like to suggest that those with archives here at UMKC and in China communicate to learn more about resources and materials available at different locations in order to serve research requests more fully. I completely agree, and I'm very excited to start the process in meeting folks this evening, or in the case of folks overseas in the morning. Thank you so much for your time. And I will be in touch with everyone about future collaborations. This will include Brigham Young University as well as the Hoover Institute, as they both have collections as well. Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your evening or day, and we will reach out to you soon with the recording.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. So nice to see so many people. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Hello, Li Zhuang.
Yeah.
So nice to meet you.
Me too. Okay.